Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, August 6th, 2025. Happy Independence Day to my home country, Jamaica, and all Jamaicans watching. Happy Independence Day. So, we start off today's recap with Johnny and EJ, right? So, Johnny and EJ are getting ready for his trial, and EJ said, look, if I have to play dirty, I'm going to play dirty as long as you are going to be vindicated of all the crimes that you are accused of, right? So he said, just be careful with how you treat Paulina. She's my mother-in-law, and I know that Chanel would be upset and everything. So he said, I think Chanel would be more upset if you were sent to jail rather than what I would say to her mom. At the end of the day, as long as Paulina is not trying to set you up or throw you to the wolves, I'm gonna be cool with her. So he said, I know how you treated Grandpa Roman the last time, and he was in my corner. So, I'm just asking you to just tread lightly. But EJ can't promise him that, because at the end of the day, he has to do what he has to do to make sure that Johnny is set free, and that his eyes is on the ball. So he remembers this metaphor because of Grandpa John and his baseball metaphors, and he and his mom were talking about it, and his mom also talked about him and EJ's relationship, and that she's glad that they're back on track, and EJ is also glad as well. So they set out to go to the trial, and that's they just got to stay focused on getting him out of it, right? So they're not the only ones getting ready for the trial. Leo is also on jury duty, and he's dreading it because he doesn't really want to do it. But at the end of the day, they didn't really have much of a choice. The selection was pretty low. And of course, according to Gabby, because Gabby was also there to testify today, and she said maybe they had to scrape the bottom of the barrel, just referring to him. So I guess they're not on the lovey end of the relationship. They're on the hate end of the relationship, the frenemy side. So anyways, Leo is also criticizing the article because he cannot write anything about the trial. So he's criticizing and saying that it's not really entertaining, given that there was so much details to the trial, like how the father is acting as the suspect's attorney or counsel, and why are they not hyping it up some more. So anyways, Gabby is just worried about how this is going to be looking towards her. She's worried about how EJ might take it if she sends his son to jail and all that. So she asks Rafe to support her throughout the trial, and he agrees to go, right? Belle runs into Tate at the square, and he sees her with a big bag, and he offers to help her. So she says she's okay, she's just going to the Salem Inn, and he says why. So she said that your aunt Sammy is in town, and I really don't want to make it awkward or cause any problems between the two of them, so I'm just avoiding it and just staying somewhere else. And besides, I don't think she might like that I am being the prosecutor in Johnny's case, and also that I'm dating her ex. I don't think it would be ideal for me to stay there, and for your grandma Marlena to see a brawl between her two daughters. It wouldn't be ideal. So she's doing the smart thing to just stay somewhere else. So he gets that, right? So anyways, she asks him about how's he feeling since Sophia put the baby up for adoption, and he said that he's having a hard time coming to grips with it, because he really did want to meet the baby and meet the parents, and he's having a hard time. So she's just wishing him the best with that, and that he's gonna get through it, right? So she heads on to the Salem Inn. We'll talk about Tate and Sophia in a minute as well. So Sophia meets up with Melinda, right? Because she has to tell Melinda about what she went through with Sarah, and that she had to end up telling Sarah that she did carry a boy based on her ultrasound results. And Melinda saying at least Sarah can't say nothing because it's against patient confidentiality and everything. So she said yes, but Sarah was also threatening to call authorities if I didn't tell her that the baby is safe and all of that. So anyways, she did also tell her that she was on a phone call with Tate, because Tate called her earlier, and of course she's bothered by him, but he's asking again, that Rachel wants to send off a present, and he also wants to send off something to the baby. So he wanted the address of the adopted parents. So she said that she will work on it at some point, right? So she tells Melinda that. Melinda said, don't worry about it, I'm gonna make sure I handle that, right? So again, I don't foresee this really going smoothly in the end because there's just too much. Also, Sophia is worried that she cannot keep up this lie, and it's just too much. And Melinda said, look, you have to just keep up with it, because if you come clean now, you would have to be stuck with raising the baby, and that's not what you want, right? Paulina and Abe are getting a bite to eat, and this time she's actually stress eating versus the other time when she wasn't eating because she's worried about how she will be on the stand testifying against her son-in-law, and she doesn't want her daughter's husband to be sent to jail on her account. So she's worried about how it's going to come up play. So Abe is just trying to calm her down and say that, she will do her best. At the end of the day, all she has to do is be fair. So she gets a call from the Attorney General. And the Attorney General is watching this case really carefully because of who is involved. And he or she also said that, look, Belle is also being monitored or looked at closely, because however she does in this case is going to determine if she gets disbarred or not, right? So she had to ensure that she told Belle as well as EJ what's going on. So when she got to the trial, she did tell Johnny, good luck. She couldn't talk much to him because of the situation and that she's testifying against him. Also, she talked to EJ for a bit in the capacity of mayor, because again, otherwise than that, it would be improper for her to be talking to the counsel of the suspect. So she said, look, at the end of the day, I do hope that Johnny gets a fair trial. And I think she mentioned something more. I can't remember. So if you guys remember their conversation, it will come to me at some point. But right now, she did also mention to Belle, I guess she said something to Belle about the Attorney General and how she conducts herself. Yes, I remember now. So she said to EJ that, look, you have to be careful with how you interact with Belle. Stay away from her, because of a lot going on. So she was going to tell him about, Belle possibly being disbarred and how she manages the case. But he said that he had to run, right? So that was really it. So Sophia and Tate meet up, or they run into each other, and Sophia said, I don't have the addresses yet. So Tate said, that's fine. I just want to apologize for how I behaved to you when you came back from Chicago. I was not fair to you. I didn't think about how you felt. I was thought about how I felt. So let me make it up to you. Let's have lunch. So she said, okay, cool. So he starts asking about how the adoptive parents are, if they're fun, they're, caring, whatever. So she said, I don't know how to explain that. So he said, I'm sorry for my interrogating you. So she said, that's all fine. He just wants to know more. So she said, look, Kate, it's best that we move forward and stop fixating on this, because it's not going to help you or the situation, and we don't want to mess up the adoption process since it's all settled. So he said that, look, I know it's easy for you to say, but I can't stop thinking about it. I can't sleep without thinking about it. So I just really want to meet the baby. I want to meet the adopted parents. I want to send a letter to them, seeing that I can meet her and all of that. So he's badgering her to the point where she has to go outside and talk to Melinda. Say, look, like Tate really want to see the baby. He wants an address. He wants to meet the parents. So she said, don't worry about it. I will handle it. I set up the PO box already. I will handle it. I will write the letter telling him no, and that should be it. So I'm saying, really, you guys think that should be it? Because at the end of the day, she's saying that they signed the parental rights. If he should bring that letter to a real lawyer, they could tell that it's actually fraudulent, and then he can fight it in court. Like, this is just nonsense, right? If you don't want to raise their child, they should have a right to want to raise his child, because it seems as if he wants to be more than just visit the child. He wants to just really raise the child, right? And it's not fair. I think Sophia is projecting her feelings alone on it and not thinking about the other parents feeling like how they would come about. So back to the trial. Paulina is up first, and Belle is asking her questions about the night of the shooting and, her and Johnny's interaction. So she said that she and Chanel were home alone. Johnny was not at home, and turns out he was at the Demera estate. And she asked her, how did she find out about EJ shooting? So she said, Johnny's uncle Chad called him to go visit his father, and Johnny didn't want to go. He got what he deserved. That's what he said. So she they asked him at some point what happened. So he said that he ended up saying to them at some point that he did go over to confront his father with a gun, right? So EJ comes up, and EJ also asked her the same question and said that you were also one person to confront me as well. Did you have the intention to shoot me? So she said, darn well I didn't do that, right? And she said, do you believe that Johnny had the intent to shoot me and everything like that? So she said, no, I really believe in my heart that he's innocent and he did not do it. Right. So Gabby was next up on the stand to testify, and Belle asked her as well on the night of the shooting, where was she? And she said that she was there to confront EJ about him kidnapping her brother, and she ended up going at the door and hearing an argument between two men, and she realized that it was Johnny and EJ. Now, she didn't realize it was Johnny's voice until weeks later. That's when she came forward with that, right? She also saw Ava Vitale leaving the estate. So anyways, EJ comes up and also asks her the same question and said, like, you came there to confront me. Did you have a weapon on you? And she said yes. So he said, where did you get a weapon from? So she said she get it from her brother, a service weapon, and she took it without his knowledge. So EJ said, did you steal it? So she said, no, I borrowed it. So he said, oh, so you intended to come shoot me? So she said, no, I did not shoot you. I did not commit this crime. So he's like, how can we believe you? You're not really innocent, and you've done crimes before. And she of course got defensive about that, and she said, like, I'm not guilty of this at all. So anyways, he said that you thought it was Johnny's voice weeks later. How come you're sure about that? You could be mistaken. So she said, yes, that might be so, and a lot of things might have happened differently. So he also accused her of doing that at that moment, and she said she didn't have nothing to do with it. She was upset with him after the trial, talked to Rafe about it, and she said, look, I can't go to jail for this, for another crime. And I get that she's traumatized by that, because I would be like PTSD from a lot of jail time for things you didn't do twice. So Rafe assured her that she's okay, and Gabby said, look, I know you think Johnny's innocent, but maybe Johnny could have been the one to shoot his father, right? The trial ends, and Johnny thanks Pauline and Eve for supporting him as well. There was a scene with Leo and Tate. So Tate saw that he dropped a baby toy, and he brought it to him. So he noticed Leo with Tesaro, and Leo is just talking about how they resemble, and he said, I thought you just adopted or fostered him. So he said, yeah, I fostered him, but he's like a cute puppy. And I said, Leo, really, you comparing him to a dog? But then he retracted his statement and said, you're not like a dog or whatever. So anyways, he asked Tate about his baby and how's that going. He said that she got adopted. She's with her adopted parents, and they didn't get to meet them or her. So Leo is sorry about that and wishes that he got to meet his child. No parent should be away from their child. So he asked Tate if he wanted to hold the baby, and he did hold him, and he was connected with him. And I'm glad about that he's actually getting to meet his own child, even though he doesn't know that by now, right? So EJ and Bella are in the court by themselves, and EJ apologizes for how the trial is affecting them and their relationship, and he wishes that they could meet up privately, even for a few moments. So she said, I get that, and now that Sammy's in town, I'm elsewhere, I'm at Cinnamon. So she gives him a card to come there and do what they do, right? So EJ is smiling like a little boy, happy little boy when they get ice cream. And I'm just saying, Belle does not have no qualms about her, because as a sister, she should have some kind of loyalty towards her sister for not dating her ex-husband of all things. It's not even a boyfriend, ex-husband, right? But anyways, they're gonna meet up, but this is just all messy, because again, they're gonna fall out again because of this ongoing trial, and them having to be professional and not like they know each other on a personal note. I mean, people are watching them on America's Scope, but they don't care. They seem to, somebody could be watching them at the end for all I know, or all we know. But that is it, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.